Hey Tinkerers! In this video we're going to cover creating a chess pawn. Now I am modeling this after this particular chess set which we found online, and our goal and our objective here is to try to model this as close as possible. You can see my final project is actually creating that whole entire chess set to the best of your abilities, and then creating your own chess set of your own stylistic on the other side. So let's get started. Here is my pawn. I have built this pawn and then I've exploded out this view into the separate pieces so you can see how it is built. Our first base piece is actually a ring or a tube. And what I've done with this tube is I've gone ahead and shortened it to 5. And then I used my properties panel and put a bevel of 2 on this. And that creates that sort of roundish shape right there. It gives us that little angle, that curve that we wanted. And then I cut off the bottom. So in my demonstration here, if I were to ungroup this, I made a square that was 1 tall and the same diameter, so it's 20 by 20. And then I placed it directly underneath of this tube to cut off the bottom. That's how I created that shape. For the next shape up, this is a cone combined with a ring. So I needed that roundish edge on the side here. And so I have a ring here. And this current height is 2.66 and it has a 20.27 diameter there. And it is placed on top of a cone that is 7.54 tall. This is kind of eyeballish a little bit. With a diameter of 20. And what we need to do is kind of place that as close as you can together to create sort of a smooth arc as possible. That's a pretty good spot like that. You don't want to create the extra ring on there, but when you group these things together, the idea is that you have that sort of rounded edged cone. The next one over here, this is actually a very cool trick. This is a ring. And what's happened here is that I've created a ring using the ring down in here. And when we do this, there is this sort of graph parameter here on the right-hand side. This is the profile of the ring. And when we have a profile, we have some square nodes, what are called vector points. And we have some round handles, which are called Bezier handles. And the way this works is that if I grab a vector node, I can change the profile of this ring. And I can actually change that shape to get exactly where I want it to be. I could also grab the handles and that will change the direction and the path from one vector node to the next. And you can move these around. Right now these two handles are tied. If I were to hold down the Alt or Option button, I can actually untie these things and create some very sharp shapes, which is pretty cool. For this particular demo, I created this shape, which has a height of 2.16. Its diameter is 14.03, and this is the shape I ended up building. Now, of course, we're trying to get that as close as possible to this shape, which is why we had that round cone on the bottom, and then we're creating this little ring right here. So mine's a little sharp, and that's however you need to make yours look right. And that is that part of it. This is a curved column, which is pretty cool. Unless you know how this kind of trick works, it's going to be a little bit difficult. So what this is actually, if I were to ungroup this, this is a torus that is being used as a hole over the top of a cylinder. So my torus here, this thing has a radius of 8.71, the tube size is 5.27, and the diameter is 27.96 or about 28-ish, and then the height is 24.45. And those, of course, don't have to be exact perfect as mine. You might even do a better job. But what this does is it creates a little hole, a circular area that goes over the top of this cylinder. This cylinder is 13 tall and 20 in diameter. And when I group these together, it cuts out that external shape, basically using the inside of that donut sort of shape to create that curve. And that is how I made that happen. The next parts are pretty easy. This is a cone. Top radius is 0, base radius of 10. The diameter is about 12, 11.77. The height is 6.37. These are not even numbers, only because I was just sort of eyeballing it as I was building this. And then the last part is a sphere, which is 10, 10, 10 all around. And when we stack those all up on top of each other, we get this pawn-looking figure, which looks somewhat close. Not exactly perfect, but pretty close. It'd be nice if we could actually bring the image in and compare it and trace it directly, but since we can't do that in TinkerCAD, we've got this. So you can go ahead and take all of these guys, and if you so choose, you can see how they are lined up, and they create that pawn, and when you group them all, that's where we get our pawn from. This is the same base that we'll use for our other pieces, so go ahead and make sure you make a copy of that as well, and then we'll move on to the next piece.